In the year 1956, one of the strangest and most chilling criminal cases in Egypt's history unfolded. An enigmatic disappearance that would eventually unravel a web of lies, obsession, and horror. It all began when a young woman in her 20s, strikingly beautiful and impeccably dressed, entered a local police station in Cairo. Her name was Layla, and her demeanor betrayed fear and anxiety. Her voice trembled as she explained that her closest friend, Noha, had gone missing just 2 hours earlier. She pleaded with the officer on duty to file a missing persons report, but the officer, adhering to procedural protocol, dismissed her concerns. "You must wait at least 24 hours before we can consider it a disappearance," he said. "Go home. Maybe your friend will be waiting for you when you arrive." Frustrated and alarmed by the lack of urgency, Layla refused to leave empty-handed. Her fear for Noha's safety pushed her to escalate the matter. "This isn't just a disappearance," she said sharply. "It's a kidnapping." The officer, suddenly more attentive, asked her who she believed the kidnapper might be. Without hesitation, she replied, "Salem Ez." The name stunned the officer. Salem Ez was no ordinary citizen. He was one of the wealthiest and most influential men in the country, known for his elite social circles and luxurious lifestyle. "Do you understand what you're saying?" the officer asked. "You're accusing one of Egypt's wealthiest men of abduction." Layla nodded firmly and recounted the events that led to that fateful night. Just a few days prior, Layla and Noha had been sitting at an upscale leisure club, sipping coffee and chatting, when a confident and elegantly dressed young man approached them. He introduced himself as Salem Ez and explained that he was hosting a private auction at his estate, showcasing rare international artwork, followed by an exclusive party for high society guests. He urged them to attend, suggesting they might find something of interest, or someone. Noha was immediately captivated by the idea, enchanted by the glamour and mystery. Layla, on the other hand, was skeptical. Something about the man's charm seemed rehearsed, but Noha was insistent. When Salem asked for their address so he could send a private car, Noha provided hers, explaining that Layla was visiting from another city and staying with her for the time being. Salem smiled, understanding, and instructed them to be ready on the specified evening. "No excuses," he said, before walking away. As the day of the event approached, Layla grew increasingly uncomfortable. She tried to persuade Noha not to go, warning her that something felt off. But Noha was unwavering. "This is an opportunity," she said. "Events like this attract wealthy, powerful men. It could change our lives." Layla finally relented, not because she was convinced, but because she couldn't let Noha go alone. Layla's unease deepened. The driver pointed toward a hallway and told them the party was inside, just through the doors to the right. But the mansion looked more like a maze than a house. Inside, the corridors were dimly lit, and it was clear the place had once been grand, but now wore the decay of neglect. 2 elegantly dressed women greeted them and guided them through winding hallways to the main hall. The air was thick with the sound of classical music, and the space was filled with people in opulent attire, admiring antique paintings and sculptures. Salem appeared charismatic as ever and welcomed the 2 women warmly. He asked if they would like to participate in the auction. Layla hesitated, but Noha, intrigued by the glamour and promise of wealth, agreed almost immediately. They were then escorted to a smaller room, more exclusive, where a single painting stood illuminated. A man claimed the piece dated back to the 1600s. Layla was skeptical, certain the man was lying, but moments later, the painting sold for an astronomical sum. She watched in disbelief. Then, without warning, Noha vanished. Panic surged through Layla. She searched every room, called out her friend's name, and questioned the guests. None had seen her. Finally, she found Salem and demanded to know where Noha had gone, but he looked at her with confusion. "Who?" he said. "I don't know any Noha. Do you have a photo of her? There are many girls here tonight." Layla tried to jog his memory. You invited us from the leisure club. Don't you remember? But he shook his head. I invite many people. I don't recall you. Again, the officer refused to take her seriously. It's only been 2 hours, he repeated. She then changed her story officially. This is not a disappearance anymore. I am filing a kidnapping report. When asked for evidence, she insisted, If you go to the estate, you'll find Noha. She might still be there, maybe locked away in one of the rooms. But the officer remained unconvinced. Layla walked out of the station, helpless and devastated. Hours later, around 5 a.m., Noha's father arrived at the station to report both girls missing, confirming they had been invited to a party and never returned. The police, still bound by protocol, told him that no action could be taken until 48 hours had passed. Frustrated, the two families began their own search, with no success. The next day, a call came in. A young woman's body had been found dumped in an empty alleyway. The police rushed to the scene. The girl had been killed by a single bullet to the head. Her face had been expertly mutilated, clearly an intentional act to prevent identification. Yet she wore an expensive dress, one that looked eerily familiar. The detective who had spoken with Layla the night before recognized it. It's the same dress the girl was wearing, he thought. He summoned Noha's father, but the man couldn't confirm if the corpse was his daughter. She looks like her, he said, but it might not be her. Doubt spread. The police brought in friends and relatives to identify the body, but all were uncertain. The mystery deepened. Meanwhile, Salem Ez came under official investigation. Police discovered he was indeed a member of the club the girls had frequented. He was summoned for questioning. Calm and confident, Salem denied knowing either of the girls. He explained that he hosted legal auctions, always by invitation, and that many people were welcomed. The venue's eerie setting? It's all part of the show, he said. High society loves mystery. It adds prestige. Investigators observed his events. All seemed legitimate, but a deeper probe into his finances revealed alarming irregularities. Salem's wealth far exceeded that of his already affluent family. His auctioned art and antiques were authentic, but the sources of his massive income were untraceable. Then came the break. The bullet retrieved from the victim's skull was of a rare caliber, one that could only be fired from an extremely rare handgun. Only 3 such guns existed in the country. Investigators traced one to a private collector who had recently sold it to Salem Ez. Salem, when confronted, admitted he had purchased the weapon, but claimed he sold it a week later at an auction to a man named Nabil Ahmed. Nabil was summoned and confirmed the transaction. But, he added, Salem kept the gun after the sale, saying he needed it for a special exhibition. He promised to hand it over after the event. He even produced a signed agreement as proof. This damning evidence led authorities to officially charge Salem. He was arrested and later sentenced to 25 years in prison for the murder of the unidentified girl. Yet Noha's fate remained unknown. Life resumed. The estate continued to host auctions. One evening, 2 young women arrived at a similar event in a sleek luxury car. As they stepped out, the driver told one of them she had left her handbag in the vehicle. She turned to retrieve it, and in the reflection of the car's side mirror saw the driver behind her, holding a chloroform-soaked cloth. She screamed. Attendees rushed over and subdued the driver. Police were called. A search revealed a vial of anesthetic and more drug-laced cloths. Under interrogation, the driver confessed he worked for Salem Ez and had for years. I was just the transporter, he said. I drug the girls. Salem takes care of the rest. The revelations were horrifying. Under further investigation, Salem, already in custody, confessed to everything. He admitted to having a twisted obsession with beauty. He murdered young women and used their bodies in his artwork, embedding parts of them into the sculptures and artifacts he sold in his auctions. A secret team of accomplices helped him craft these macabre pieces. The police raided his hidden workshop and found dozens of mutilated bodies, disguised as statues, carvings, and even furniture. Among them was the body of Noha. All of Salem's accomplices were arrested. The horror finally came to light. As for Noha, though her face had been destroyed beyond recognition, authorities concluded that the first body discovered was hers.